All right. Well, let's see. 7:02. Might as well get started. Uh, Welcome to the first live demo of Ameliorate. I'm just going to be going over basically the some of the features that were mentioned in the blog post, which should be linked in the description somewhere. And I'll just probably add a little extra commentary here and there. Feel free to follow along, ask questions, share your thoughts as we go. It's going to be very casual, and this video should be recorded, put up on YouTube for those that could not be here live. I heard there's a Packer game. I forgot about that. Uh, so to start us off, the big first feature, I guess, is that you can make an account yourself. So, I guess the toolbar also looks a little different now, but nothing big there. Um, so you can log in here, and I will. You can make an account just for Ameliorate with an email and password, or you can just use Google account. And that's if you use an Ameliorate specific account, you have to verify your email. But if you use Google, Google already handles that, so you don't have to verify that. So you get to this username screen. When you make a topic in Ameliorate, you're going to have a URL. You can share your topic. That's going to be your username / the topic name. So just, I guess, keep that in mind when picking your username. And eventually there'll be like comments that you can add. You can't do that yet, but so your username will be used for that as well. For this username, this test user, I'm just going to, pick a random username. Love the spaghetti, so might as well. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, I forgot to look at the chat, but the hello. We got a couple people in the chat. Welcome. Uh, so you're gonna start off at your profile page, which is just a list of your own topics right now. We'll just show you can make a topic. Maybe my big problem is that I don't know what pasta sauce to use. So you can see here what the URL is going to be when you make this topic, so that you can share that with anyone you want to. I'm actually not for the example today, not gonna detail this pasta sauce topic because I think there's a better one that might be more that I already have filled out. Save some time. That'll be easier to show the features for. But yeah, so that was making a topic, and you can go back to your own topics. This is kind of like there's no, you can't customize your profile yet. Maybe when we add comments, we'll do that. But this is like user stuff, so your own topics are going to be in this this drawer. That's what it's called. For the example today, though, I've already made an example. Oh no, sorry. It's actually through the examples page. I was just going to reuse this, the economic system example that you may have seen from the initial announcement blog post, but I think it's good for the second feature today that I'm going to show, which is comparing, being able to compare scores. So for this, we'll say that you and your friend are having a discussion about socialism versus capitalism. This particular example came from a YouTube video that was taken down, but say you and a friend are talking about it, and your friend goes off and decides to like make this mapping so that you can figure out where your differences in opinion lie. So he has made this mapping ahead of time for you. He's already scored it. We're not going to look at the scores yet because we're going to be a little unbiased about this. So I'm going to come in here, let's see, just to give an overview. So the problem is like which economic system to choose. We've got the, let's see, capitalism, or true capitalism, I guess, in this case, which is, well, one of the features that I will talk about adding next is adding details so you can explain more. But true capitalism in this case is like when you have, it's like the most extreme form of capitalism, basically, where you can see a component is no social support, whatever. So the slightly controversial effect of unsustainable people dying off is an aspect of that. I am going to pretend I'm scoring as the friend that supports socialism today. So I'm going to go through here. We've got a couple of criteria. And actually, this is going to be a little easier to look at just with the criteria table. So let's see. Right off the bat, I'm just going to say, you know what? I really like socialism and true capitalism. Ooh, well, let's see. There's a little awkward feature right there. Then it goes off the screen. But so we're going to score first the criteria here. What do I think is important in an economic system? Not discriminating based on birth. Yeah, it seems pretty important. Encouraging the quality of production. Yeah, I would agree that that's important. We want goods that are good. Let's see. Discouraging unsustainable lifestyles. That seems good, I guess. Supports those who cannot support themselves. Big fan. That kind of goes along with the does not discriminate on birth. And here, let's see, power in the right hands. I guess as a socialist view, I feel like, maybe like collective powers better, but in this case, I think friend is probably getting at the capitalism putting power in the right hands of like people that know how to get money. Let's actually, yeah, we can feel the claims here that wealthy people are the best decision makers, which, well, we might as well disagree with that while we're here. So we have a question: is lower more important, less important, or more important? Good question. So the lower number is less important. Going with the red color, and I guess blue is just good. But so like 9 is gonna say like, I think this is really important. 1, I think this is not important. So like, I really care about not discriminating based on birth. So I gave it a high score. And that reminds me an idea that I haven't gotten to yet is adding like a scoring guide to kind of give some examples that you can quick reference to kind of show what the scores are supposed to mean. But that's also something that, like, as more people use it, we can refine together what feels like a good way of using the scores. But for now, 9 is most important and 1 is least important. Even to the point of like, I think that's not like particularly not important, where 5 is more of a neutral neutral response. So we'll go through quick score. The socialism doesn't discriminate on birth. I feel like, yeah, that's kind of a tenet of it, where capitalism is like, well, we could take a look at the claim that's already filled out here. If you're born into wealth, that gives people a better chance. So we'll say 1 for that. Encourages quality production. I'm not aware of socialism being particularly good at that. But capitalism, I know, with competition, we'll acknowledge that. Discourages unsustainable lifestyles. I guess capitalism. I don't even know. I actually kind of disagree that capitalism necessarily does that, because you could you'd be born into, wealth or something, like we said before there. But it does kind of, I guess, if, well, we'll leave it middle ground. Socialism discourages, I don't really know what to score for that. I guess not really. Supports those who cannot support themselves. Yeah, socialism, that's basically the tenet of socialism, I think. And capitalism, well, true capitalism, I guess, by definition, is basically not that. Power in the right hands. Socialism, just thinking that shared power could be 6 or 7. And true capitalism, well, I would disagree that that's the right thing. So now that we've scored it, now we can get to the feature. So here we have, I guess I probably should have put in the chat just in case. We'll link the topic we're working on. If I should have done that earlier, but if you wanted to add scores or just look at it yourself, that is what we're currently looking at. Let's see. So the feature, comparisons. Basically, we've got this compare perspectives button that will create a pie. Oh, I didn't even realize there's a third score here. Oh yeah, I guess I scored it on my actual account. But so this basically will create a pie that'll split into like each group of scores that have been scored. So for example, does not discriminate on birth. We've got 2 people that scored this an 8, and you can see the usernames there, and 1 person that scored it a 1. Examples is supposed to be the capitalist friend that I was, my friend examples over there. So that's how we can kind of navigate this. There is also there's not many more actions, but just kind of hid more advanced actions will live here. Right now, there's just this perspectives drop down where you can like individually select people if you wanted to do that. So out of curiosity, yeah, I guess my actual account didn't score too many things here. But when you compare perspectives, it'll show everybody that has given a score, and if you turn it off, it'll just go back to your score. So the value here is supposed to be that you can kind of quickly see where there's disagreement and agreement. So just looking at the colors here, looks like there's some agreement on socialism being good for supporting people, so I guess it's good that we understand that. And capitalism, my capitalist roommate agrees with me that capitalism is not good for that. Neutral scores, I guess, are maybe not as valuable, but like scoring a 1 is still an extreme score, so the capitalist seems to think that socialism doesn't discourage unsustainable lifestyles at all. Let's see here. Got some disagreement on the importance of supporting those who can not support themselves. So my capitalist friend, thinks it's unimportant for to support people who can't support themselves. So that's an interesting point of discussion, I guess. Why don't want to support people. I happen to have also already added critiques, but perhaps this is the type of thing where there weren't any, and we talk about it, and he says, well, genetics correlate to success, and dependence will breed more dependence. Slightly controversially, perhaps, but that's a place to put your further thoughts on it. Question in the chat: does it show the average of the selected people? I forgot to mention that. Good catch. It is showing just a rounded average there on top of the pie, which also reminds me, another feature that I have been requested, I think is a good idea, is adding weighted scores for the solutions here. So like, well, we'll leave the comparison view for now. So like, you could kind of calculate the value of a solution based on how much you value each criteria and how much you think that like a solution embodies that criteria. So you could like take these scores, multiply them together, and then add them up at the bottom. And that could kind of give like a rough overview of which one you have calculated based on your answers to be better. Haven't done that yet, but that's an idea. And I guess with a comparison view, I'm not entirely sure what. I guess we could show the averages there for the totals as well. Maybe. But yeah, that's to be designed. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Let's see, how are we doing? We looked at some scores. So I think that's kind of the summary of this view. If you have more people, I guess right now, since the scores are grouped based on, or like since the pie is built based on which scores have been selected, if you have a lot of people, this view is probably still useful. If you have like 10 people that score like 3 different scores, you can quickly see. Another idea I had for ways to compare scores is like just showing everybody's individual scores rather than grouping them based on like who selected the same scores. So for example, in this scenario, Kaiser J and Spaghetti 87 have scored a 7, they would both get their own 7. And I guess the key point of that is like you'd have the same individuals, the same users would have their same segment of the pie. So I would always, like Spaghetti would always be in the upper right. So you could like kind of have an idea that Spaghetti has all these upper right scores, and you can see like without having to individually select someone, have an idea of like how they're scoring. So that's just another idea, I guess. Let's see. How are we doing in my outline here? The comparisons. I guess we might as well move on to the last feature in the blog, which was table filtering. And I'm actually going to go to, I actually got value out of this personally, so we're going to go to the example that uh, I had for that. It looks a little gross in the diagram view, but look at the criteria table. This was choosing a technology for Ameliorate itself. So I found that software technology decisions are kind of useful for this kind of trade-off uh, viewing or organization of trade-offs. And we're gonna choose, let's see. So by default, when you enter a topic, you're like, if you're logged in, it's just showing your scores so that you're, I guess, less not biased by other people's scores. So I had to select the other scores of my actual account here. But the feature here is that you can, it's a little, I say janky, I guess we'll probably see in a second. But you can hide and show columns and rows. It's pretty simple, but it helps out in this case because, for example, I have all these criteria that I like brainstormed, but then I realized weren't as important as other things. So you can keep the criteria around in case other people, you share it with someone else to help make a decision together, and they think that that criteria is important. Well, they would have the unbiased view first. But here I can filter out these. Yes, this is why it's janky. One of the reasons it's janky. You currently have to manually select the ones you want. So it doesn't start off with all of them selected. So and here's another reason it's janky, because it shows everything being filtered on here, which kind of takes up a lot of space. So you have to hide the filter if you want to be able to see anything. But where it's useful is now I can hide type safe by columns of 1, odd schema generations of 1. So I can go here and let's see, schema generation type safe by column and repository model. Let's see, and we'll just just to show it, we'll hide some more. So all right, we'll hide that too. Generate schema. Let's see. Generate schema. There it is. So now I don't have to scroll. I've narrowed it down to the things that matter to me, and I can kind of more easily see. Let's also hide the columns that I don't really care about. So I didn't really score these guys, so I didn't care enough about them, and we're going to hide those as well. So now, yeah, much easier to see. Again, I guess this kind of illustrates where the weighted solutions, the calculated solution values might be useful, because there's a lot of criteria here for each solution. And it's, you can see there's a lot of blues for the type RM solution here, but what really matters is also how much you care about each criteria. So I actually ended up going with Prisma, even though there's a couple of low scores, but you can see I really care about the criteria here, and type RM had a 1, so that was that. Yeah, I think that's about it out of the filtering. Oh, I guess there's also, you can see I wanted to hide all the unimportant criteria. Well, I could also potentially add a button that's just only show the important things and just automatically hide all the criteria that have low scores and solutions that have low scores. But potential future feature. Let's see. Can you sort the criteria by your or average ranking. You know, that's also a good idea. You cannot do that right now. Can you? Wait. No, you cannot. Although I think the table actually the the library I'm using for this table actually has sorting automatically, I think. So should be pretty easy to add, but that's a good idea. Then you might not even have to hide the unimportant ones because you could just sort and they would come to the front right away. Good idea. Good idea. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, I guess I was also just to show the well, I should link these as I was going, but just show that in the chat. And I was gonna go. Oh, we got some questions actually. Let's see. Perhaps also a sort by specific user so you can see how another person ranks them. Right. Yeah, I didn't think about how that would work with the perspectives. Perhaps if you have a button for sorting, it would just automatically sort based on what is being displayed. So as you switch perspectives, maybe that would just shuffle if you disagree. Um, and that would probably work with averages as well. If you're showing the averages, you could just sort by the averages to, let's see. Yeah. Are you going to cover a brief overview of the diagram and node types? Oh, yeah, I can do that real quick. So the next, I guess that kind of like concludes the features that are new. Um, One of the things that I think, let's see, the next section, I guess, was where I've already appreciated the tool, which we've kind of exampled here. I've gotten value out of it using the criteria table for simple problems or problems whose complexity comes from having a lot of criteria and solutions, but not necessarily from like having to add detail about the pieces of a solution or the piece of a problem. But where there's still some room for improvement, I think, is the diagramming aspect. I do want to just kind of use it a little more and get a better feel for how it is, I guess, to show the different node types. I will go back to the economic system. Show us via pasta sauces. Oh my god! All right. Let's see. Am I logged in as spaghetti? I am. We can show. I don't. All right. We'll try. Let's see how the pasta sauces. I'm not a connoisseur of pasta sauces, so start with the problem. You know, picking a pasta sauce is not easy. I want it to taste. Uh, is the problem not enough pasta sauce or the type? Oh, good question. It's about the type. Let's see. Type or maybe maybe just generally picking the pasta sauce. Uh so how would you lay that out? I guess it's hard to lay out both. We could just have another problem actually, kind of like the type of pasta sauce and like how much. Uh this illustrates another problem. You can't actually add it. all the things you add have to be connected, so we can't add another separate problem. We're just going to say it's the type of pasta sauce for now. Uh, hot dog versus hamburger. Um, that might be a lot. let's just pasta sauce is simple, and that it'll be easier. Let's see, hot dog versus hamburger. Yeah, we'll just go with the pasta sauce. So I happen to know, as not a connoisseur of pasta sauces, that marinara is a pasta sauce. If you know any other pasta sauce types, let me know. Alfredo sauce, that's a good one. Uh, that's about the extent I've got. I've got Alfredo and marinara. Pesto? Ooh, that's good. That's good. Now we're thinking. Go pesto. Let's see here. What are... See, now, I guess one of the hard things about this problem is that, uh, how do you compare these? Because taste is kind of like a per person thing. I guess we could say, like, ease of making the sauce, which I know nothing about. Uh, let's say, like, cost of ingredients. We might as well throw taste in there, but it's going to be very subjective, which I guess is fine. Vodka sauce. Let's see. Tomato vodka sauce? We'll just say tomato vodka sauce. Hmm. Oh, yeah. I should probably be explaining this as I go. So, we've added a couple nodes so far. Um, we've added a criteria node. So, I guess the problem node is what you start out with. That's relatively explanatory. You have a problem you're trying to solve, um, and so you start with that, and you go from there. In order to solve the problem, you think of possible solutions. So we've added a couple solution nodes here, and we've added a couple criteria, which are just ways that solutions can be good, so that you can compare across the solutions, like help you figure out the trade-offs and what's best for you. There are also, I don't know if this example is complex enough, but there are solution components and effects. So you can say, well, I guess in theory you could list all the ingredients as components, but that might be a lot. But in effect, maybe an effective tomato vodka sauce. You put too much vodka in, and let's see, guess could get a little drunk, I suppose. I feel like, in actual tomato vodka sauce, you probably don't put that much in. But just to illustrate the effect node, and then with that, you could connect the effect to, like, let's see, maybe we have an enjoyment criteria or something, a non-taste enjoyment. And because if you like to get drunk, perhaps that would be a reason for tomato vodka giving you a non-taste enjoyment. Let's see here. Yeah, so this view is I feel like we're kind of seeing some of uh, a little bit of the downside of the diagram right now is it's a little crowded. Um, when you're just doing the trade like criterion solutions, it's definitely right now the criteria table seems a little nicer to use. Um, this in order to like enable the comparison across solutions, we are automatically connecting the criteria to each solution when you add it. And we're also, let's see, well, affect. I guess you can see right here one of the solutions that I think might be useful to help organize it a little bit. It's like putting solutions on the same level, like basically grouping nodes by type together. Um, so when you add an effect, it doesn't kind of like throw things off like this. You can hide effects, so we're just so I don't know. It's easier to look at if it's hidden there. But yeah, some could be some improvements to layout. Let's see. Yeah, so I feel like we've got a pretty good set of things here. To show the diagram. Is there anything else in the diagram? I guess if we're talking about, let's see, can you hide the effects and tell us about what embodies mean? Right. Yeah, okay. So each node is connected to other nodes. Um, and if you have another, let's see. If we happen to have another problem, you can connect them like this. Delete that. But each connection has a label to kind of like describe what the connection means. So if I look at tomato vodka, we've got 4 embodies connections to the criteria. So that just means like how well the solution embodies that criterion. So like if tomato vodka gives you that good non-taste enjoyment, oh sorry. So scoring the criteria would indicate that you think that criteria is important. So if I care about non-taste enjoyment, I would give that 9. And scoring the edge, the embodies edge here, is saying that the tomato vodka does give that non-taste enjoyment. And could when you click on a node, it'll like kind of bring to the front all of the connections it has. So we can quickly score like pesto. Do any of these have other non-taste enjoyment? I don't know. Maybe, let's see. Well, marinara, yeah, I don't really know. We'll just leave those unscored. But for taste, yeah, I like pesto sauce. I don't know if I've had tomato vodka, so I won't score that. I like Alfredo. Marinara is pretty good. Actually, I think pesto's better than that. Just use cost of ingredients. Oh yeah, we can do that as well. Cost of ingredients. Wait, that would assume that I know all the ingredients involved here. All right. Good, good. Taste worked. Yeah. I also don't know the ease of. I haven't made any of these by hand, but I have gotten the jars of Alfredo and marinara, and that's pretty easy. um, let's see here. Yeah, so personally, I wouldn't really use this view for scoring these edges just because the criteria table does that like more naturally, I think. Um, but that's kind of like a point of thought of like, what could we do maybe to make it easier to score in this view, or maybe this view shouldn't necessarily be used primarily for comparing, and maybe we always hide the criteria here, and this is like, wow, this is so much easier to look at. But there's also not much being shown here, so that's something to think about, I think. Uh, let's see. Well, I think that's good enough for the diagram. Unless if anybody has more questions, but you can also go back to the well, on the About page, I do link to the announcement blog post, which has, oh, you know what? Actually, the homepage here has a video that maybe more preparedly talks about the different kinds of nodes and how to use the diagramming aspect. Let's see, fastening tool, awesome. Wow, good to hear. I guess the main thing left, what is next? Uh, so I'll link first. Let's see. I've got, so the next update, just I plan on focusing on making sure that there's kind of making the diagram feel a little better to use. Like I said before, I kind of need to use it a little more to practice with it. I think I've used it a little bit, and I found it very restrictive in some ways. Like if there's a node type that doesn't exist, one idea that well, I guess I'll link this first. But one of the ideas I have in here is that like a question node. So if you don't actually know the answer to what are the ingredients here, if I'm making this map, I could call that out, as a highlighted thing, a question node. And I haven't designed like if it'd be answer node with that, or if it would just result in like, you add more to the solution to describe it in there, and then delete the question perhaps. But being able to have questions in here seems good. More details. So right now it's kind of, the nodes are kind of built on putting brief summaries in them, but there's not always enough space to kind of describe what's going on. So like perhaps the recipe for this Alfredo solution you would maybe want to link to, or like put a couple sentences in. So I think it'd be useful to have like a node details pane here with like a text box, maybe just to start with. Adding the like even at the topic level, like pasta sauce. Well, I had this specifically from the let's see, the economic system. I wanted to detail that I got this from a YouTube video and link that. So we do kind of have this drawer over here which shows all the criteria tables and claims that I don't use too much, but probably add like a text box here to put topic details. So, oh, and even just like having an uncategorized node. So like, as we're discovering what kinds of nodes make sense in here, it'd be useful to be able to put any, an uncategorized node, so that if we don't have the type yet, you can still add it, and then maybe you figure out what it should be later, and you can update it. So yeah, I linked in the chat the milestone, the things that are planned for the next update. That's well, the goal is 1 to 2 months. Um, right now, it seems doable, but it also seems like I think we'll probably discover more things that I want to do as we go. We'll see how closely I stick to this stuff. Um, further than that, though, there's less decided. So, um, open up the next. Let's see, this guy. So there's a lot of ideas I want to implement, but are just like not quite high enough priority. Um, so I've just kind of started a third update question mark milestone that just put in the chat for um, things that could be next. So, for example, we could focus more on streamlining the criteria table. Let's see, we've got these guys here. So that would be like, well, I guess calculated the weighted solution totals. Column reordering, row reordering. I guess we got a couple bugs there. Let's see. Being able to persist the table view data. So if you wanted to share, like, you know, if you wanted to filter down to something specific and then like give it to someone else with that filter, you'd be able to do that. And yeah, so just generally, I guess, making the table feel better. Another option is, let's see, I guess focusing on making the diagramming even more smooth. Because with the next update, I guess we're just focusing on just making sure that you can add everything you want, but not necessarily making it super smooth yet. Just because of priority. Obviously, I want it to be smoother. And I guess I haven't listed an option here, but the third idea for like direction, I guess, is focusing more on the collaborative aspects. So like a brainstorming mode, I have that as an option here, where you could like maybe you start out with just a problem, you send out the mapping out to a couple people, and you like separately brainstorm solutions and criteria, and then like come together and like merge them together. That could be fun. Google Docs like functionality, like being able to get real time updates. So right now, I didn't mention if I score something, you have to actually refresh the page to get those scores. So that's not ideal. It's not that big of a deal, but it could be better. Adding comments and suggestions. I don't think I have that in here yet. But like on a node, you could add like a comment to, ask a question about why, or what that even means. Oh, you made this true capitalism node, but I don't know what true capitalism means. What, can you define that or something? So, yeah, I guess those are the three paths I'm currently considering: the improving criteria table, diagramming, or focusing on collaboration. I do plan to. I do want feedback to be taken into account for these. So, planning on doing some group testing sessions, discourse sessions perhaps, after the next update. So in like 1 to 2 months probably. And hopefully with that, we'll get to see more of the value of the collaborative aspect and see what features feel more important to have. So stay tuned for that. Is there anything else? Feel like that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. So if you have any feedback, let me know. There's also a link in the stream's description for ways you can give feedback if you don't know how to contact me, I guess. Um, and yeah, I guess I'll see you in 1 to 2 months, probably. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.